Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, how do you feel about like, because I understand like when you speak truth to power and you say it the way he's been saying it, people in our community are going to be drawn to that. Like people are going to be drawn to that approach.
Okay.
However, do you think sometimes it's a little much as far as the bandwagon shit? Like when I watch some of his videos and I'm looking at the people comment, I'm looking at other people make YouTube videos about it. I think it would be healthy if we critically looked at everything. So of course, a lot of things he's saying is true, right? But it seems like when a brother like that hits the scene, nobody isn't necessarily critically saying, well, maybe he has a point here, but not a point there. It seems like everybody is like, yeah, get him, because this is my take on it. Okay. I think and you can tell me what you think about this. I think if he would have initially did like his first videos and he was calm and he wasn't calling nobody no names and he wasn't speaking on people the way he was, okay, I don't think the YouTube public would have jumped on it the way they did. How do you feel about that?
I mean, well, controversy and ratchet behavior sells. So yeah, the more that he comes at them, and he's been very clear about naming names, so he's not speaking in broad, ambiguous terms. Like he's very clear about who he's talking about. So, so yeah, I mean, I agree that it wouldn't have caught on as much, but I think that the level of disrespect that he showed is warranted by who he's disrespecting. You know, you got Matt Barnes who, you know, invited him, well, how was he said, invited him to his genitals. You know, you say that to another grown man, you really got to expect some level of disrespect back. You know, if you made a living off of insulting somebody's career and his livelihood and no regards for his family or anything, you're just gonna talk about him any old kind of way. Well, you know. So I mean, like I said, so I think that the disrespect that he's showing, there's a place for it, and he's not standing up saying that I'm trying to be the next community leader. I'm trying to be, you know, MLK and lead the people to this and that. He's very clear about who he is. He's a country boy who's just calling it like I see it. So I think I gotta take it for what it is.
Okay, yeah, and I was just, because again, other people have mentioned this before, but I was just happy he tackled like the commentator piece of it, because for years, like I used to be a SportsCenter buff. I watched SportsCenter every night. I would watch it 2 or 3 times a day. As I got older, it just became like watching grown men talk about other grown men in such a like salacious way. It was something about that I got to a point where I'm like, why y'all talking about these brothers like that? Because it used to be they just commented on what happened. And I think once commentators started making a lot of money, once they became personalities themselves, it became they almost start stunting on the players. Like Stephen A. Smith is notorious for this, where he talk about players like he could go out there and dunk himself. And and they had Jalen Rose had to remind him, you sucked in high school, fam. Like, calm down a little bit. You can't be coming at these grown men, giving them nicknames and shit, when you couldn't even do this if you wanted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think context is important too. So with Kwame Brown. So Kwame Brown gets drafted #1 to a team that didn't want him. So he was almost like Kobe with Charlotte. He was drafted to get traded. And the trade didn't go through. And so he's got Michael Jordan to start off his career with. And there are grown men who couldn't deal with Michael Jordan. The way he was, the way that he, as intense as he was, I mean, there's all kinds of stories in Chicago. He was socking players in the face and the disrespect he showed to teammates. Jordan was like that with a teenager. And then he gets out of that situation and ends up with Kobe. And he ends up with Kobe after Shaq left, and Shaq won a ring in Miami. So you got Kobe, who's trying to prove that he can run this team without Shaq after Shaq won a ring. So you can imagine what he left to then what he signed up for. So you got Jordan over there who was berating and belittling you and was not helpful. You get Kobe, who's got no patience or tolerance for anybody at that point in his career. So he's playing, he had injuries, he had problems, whatever. There was nobody was trying to hear nothing. So, and that's how that was the bulk of his career. So it's like he was constantly getting, criticized. And he even said, he's like, what would I look like coming out talking bad about Michael Jordan at that point? I'm over here underperforming or whatever, and I'm going to come out and start talking badly about Michael Jordan. How's that going to go over? Or what's he going to do? Start talking bad mouthing Kobe? 3-time champion, this, that. You going to come over here now and start bad mouthing Kobe? Like, he just had to take it. He just had to take the abuse on the chin. And then you got these guys out there like Stephen A. Smith who are constantly, talking about him. He said he got the little hand.